In 2012, Willie Nelson turned 79 years old. That's a little older than most new fathers.
Don't judge. They're making all sorts of pills for the aging man these days.
That year, the country icon learned he had become a father to his 8th child, which means he'd be 97 at our high school graduation.
Except that he also learned about a new grandchild and a great-grandchild that same day.
Right. He's super casual about it. In an autobiography called Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die, Nelson revealed that a decade ago, an old friend named Mary had given birth to a baby girl named Renee many years prior.
That's literally how he describes her. An old, dear friend and a sweet lady. Like she's an usher at church or something. She never told him about it, which either makes her kind of foolish, kind of smart, or the chillest one-night stand ever.
The pair simply lost touch, and if you need more about why that might have happened, I encourage you to check out our video about country music cheaters in the corner. Come to find out, Renee had a daughter named Noelle, and Noelle had a daughter as well.
The man has so many kids, he doesn't know where he put them all.
I'm Addison Hager, and along with Billy Dukes, we're going to reveal more country artists with families you either never knew about or never hear about.
If you can think of one, drop it in the comment section below, and please consider tapping subscribe, because Addison and I make these lists just about weekly.
Should we count country music's reigning ACM Entertainer of the Year? Or the family that Keith Urban never talks about?
Yes, but first let's talk about Craig Morgan. If you Google him, you learn he has sons Wyatt and Kyle, plus Jerry, who died several years ago.
Right. He was adopted, but definitely part of the family and not a secret. He also has daughters Allie and Marissa. One of the many revelations in his new book, God, Family, Country, was that Marissa isn't wife Karen's daughter, even though they think of her like that.
I was shocked to learn this. But Craig writes about his first marriage right out of high school to a woman that remains unnamed. They divorced soon after the baby was born, and because of that, he told me he missed a bunch of her early life.
Quote, I'm just grateful to God that we do have her in our lives and we get to spend time with her now. That's really sweet.
I guess now is probably the best time to rip the Band-Aid off the saddest of these surprises. Eddie Montgomery had a child that no one knew about, for good reason.
Fans may recall the death of his 19-year-old son Hunter in 2015, but 24 years earlier, his 3-year-old son died in a car crash.
Eddie never really talked about this until 2021, when he barely mentions it while talking about a new song called My Son. Once again, we confirmed it, but he didn't want to really offer too much more.
Let's move on then. I think I count 6 more surprises, including Morgan Wallen.
That was a fun day. Morgan is one of 2 artists who definitely knew about his child. It's just that we didn't.
On July 13, 2020, Morgan and ex-girlfriend both shared photos of Indy Wilder. Up until that point, it was the most shocking thing Wallen had ever done.
Right. It was kind of whiplash after that, but from what we can tell, Morgan has been a really active father in the 2 years since. He and the baby's mother never rekindled the romance.
Kane Brown did the same thing. In December of 2021, his wife Caitlin gave birth to a child no one knew she was expecting, baby Cody Jane. The shocking part here is that no one figured it out, even though she walked the CMA red carpet a month prior.
Those are both a different category or surprise. Here's another that no one knew about before a couple that no one talks about.
In 2022, Duck Dynasty star Phil Robertson learned he was a father to a 45-year-old woman named Phyllis.
They're still making Phyllises?
Back in the day, old Phil was a serial cheater, and he's talked about this. A woman did a DNA test and somehow figured out she was a 99% match to the Robertson elder.
I like how this story ends. Like Willie Nelson, both Phil and his wife were just like, well, how about that? And they accepted her into the family. She joins Phil and Kay's 4 sons. I wonder if she hunts too.
Hey, did you know Hank Williams Sr. had a daughter no one knew about until 30 years after he died?
I'm listening.
Jet Williams was born 5 days after he died, but later adopted and renamed Kathy Louise Dupree. In the early 80s, she started to figure out that Hank was her dad, and this did not go over well with Hank Jr.
To say the least. There was a pretty big court battle because a second child would cut Junior's share of the Hank Williams estate in half. He appealed an Alabama Supreme Court ruling all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
But they wouldn't hear him out, so now he has a half-sister and half his daddy's money. Justice served, I think.
Let us know if you agree with that in the comment section below. And once again, thumbs up and subscribe for more great country music lists.
Billy, why do we never hear about Keith Urban's stepkids?
Let's be honest, we never really hear about his birth kids.
True. Keith and Nicole Kidman have daughters Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret together, but she and her ex Tom Cruise also adopted Bella and Connor Cruise. They're ghosts.
Bella Kidman Cruz is on Instagram and looks to be a talented designer and artist. Connor does Instagram too and looks to be a DJ living in Florida. He also once caught this really big fish.
That is random. Okay, last one. Miranda Lambert is a mom, or at least a stepmom. We never hear anything about the child husband Brendan had just before they met, but every reference she makes is warm and loving, so we have no reason to believe that when he gets his weekends, she's not hands-on.
She might not be changing diapers, but you know that when it comes time to teach Landon how to ride a horse, it's her.
Talking to Extra in 2019, Lambert gushed that, quote, "My stepson is amazing. I'm loving that whole phase. I've raised 1 million dogs, so I feel like I've got that part of my womanly/motley thing is full, so this is a whole new journey. It's great."
I'm Billy Dukes with Taste of Country.
And I'm Addison Hager. Thanks for watching, and if you like videos like this one, let us know in the comments below and give us a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for subscribing.